Hello, everybody.
You're Kathy Stewart, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. You were with us last time.
I think so, yes.
Right, is somebody there from the correctional facility with Mr. Simmons present?
Turn this up some. Turn it up.
Hold on a second. I'm getting there.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, you're on there.
No, it's on now. Okay. All right.
Good afternoon, Mr. Simmons.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Do you need any time to confer with Ms. Stewart, who is our interpreter, before we get started?
No, sir. I'm ready.
All right. All right, we'll go on the record. This is in the District Court of Butler County, Kansas. Case is entitled Mr. Willie Simmons versus the Kansas Department of Public Health, Warden Sam Klein, Vincent Weary, Miss Johnson, Tamika Koya, inmate, Marvis Moya, and Ryan Stork. It is case number 21 CV 110. The plaintiff, Willie Simmons, appears in person by Zoom. Also appearing is Kathy Stewart, who is a sign language interpreter who is interpreting for Mr. Simmons. We are before the court today on motions filed by Mr. Simmons for default judgment in regards to inmate Moya and to the Kansas Department of Health. Mr. Simmons, are you ready to proceed on these motions?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Simmons, I'll allow you to make argument in support of your motions at this time.
Yes, Your Honor. So you want me to read the motions to you, Your Honor?
You don't need to read them verbatim. That this is your opportunity to explain to the court why you feel you're owed relief according to the motions that you filed.
Well, Your Honor, the motions that I filed for my default relief was due to the deliberate indifference and the negligence of the health department, where they failed to protect me from the coronavirus, and I sustained injuries, to chronic lung disease, to my asthma and emotional distress, and I was in the hospital, and I'm on 5 different asthma inhalers, and I have a weak immune system, and I brought evidence where medical. These are asthma inhalers for my lung from the coronavirus right here. I have another one right there that's to control my lungs. I'm on the Lopin medication for my lungs. So to control my lungs, my immune system is weakened. It caused my spine to become weakened, and I pass bowel movement on myself. I can't hold my urine. I wear pull-ups and stuff. So, I mean, this coronavirus was a body injury to me. And this is why I filed my default judgment on the damages on them. And the other issue was that in my amended complaint where I stated my issue for my relief, and I stated all the protocols that they failed to follow their protocols in protecting the inmates and me. You know, when they allowed staff to come in with coronavirus, and we all got infected. I would never got infected, you know, if they would have followed protocols, and they never gave us any sanitation, you know, equipment to clean. They sent me to Lansing correctional facility at the time, and we got there, they put us in the same contaminated environment, and then put us on a contaminated bus, and I got even sicker. And then they brought me back, put me back into another cell with the coronavirus with several other inmates, and I got sick even worse. So then I had to go to the hospital, and ever since then, I have a body injury where, you know, I have to take all these asthma inhalers for my lung and for my breathing problems. So, I mean, this is why I filed this lawsuit for my damages. And the other issues is what you probably read in my my complaint when I filed my federal rule of civil procedure 55B and 1, asking for this hearing on my default judgment.
Okay.
And,
Well, since you're requesting a default judgment, we need to procedurally look at a couple of things. You asked this court for leave to file amended complaint, which this court granted back in July of 2023.
yes.
You filed that amended complaint on July 28th, 2023, and requested service on the Kansas Department of Health, correct?
Would you help me repeat that last statement?
Okay. Did you request service, or that the Kansas Department of Public Health be served with a copy of the amended complaint?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and I'm looking at a return of service of summons filed with this court on July 28th, 2023. Attached to that is a certified return receipt. I believe that is dated September 13th, 2023. Is that the summons in which you're relying upon, Mr. Simmons?
Yes, Your Honor.
And according to the court file, the Kansas Department of Public Health has never filed an answer. Have you ever received an answer from the Kansas Department of Public Health?
No, Your Honor, because they never sent an answer, a response to me, because if they did, my unit team, they have a form that they fill out from the mailroom. When all legal mail come in, they address it. And then this unit team, Judy, she brings it down, and then she put her signature on it. She signs it as legal mail coming inside, any mail come in. And then I have to sign it, and she open it, she's copy it, and she give it to me, and then they log it all in. So I never seen it respond to them at all. Excuse me.
All right, and what relief are you requesting as part of your judgment?
Well, Your Honor, I was my relief. I had a relief of $100,000 in my amended motion that was filed on April the 25th, 2023, for the $100 and the $20,000 from each of the defendants. But in my default judgment, I put $4 million of a judgment, and I don't know if it's excessive, but I mean, I couldn't put a price on my health at the time, so I put the default judgment for the $4 million. So I will let you determine if the amount is excessive, or to grant me the $120,000 in my amended complaint for their default judgment on April the 25th, 2023.
Give me just a second. When was this? Are you referring to the amended complaint filed in July of 2023?
Yes, Your Honor, I have a copy of it right here.
So you're asking judgment be granted against the Kansas Department of Public Health for $4 million?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm looking through the amended complaint and I don't see that amount.
Well, in the amended complaint, Your Honor, I had $100,000 joint service from the defendants, and then $20,000 for the actual damages. On the motion for what I filed to amend upon the ruling 15A of Federal Rule of Civil Procedure, when I requested lien to file an amended motion against the parties, and the last page of it, page 4.
Well, Mr. Simmons, we're not in federal court. We're in state court.
Yes, sir.
Now, the only people who have been served as part of this lawsuit are Inmate, Moya, and the Kansas Department of Public Health. So the only judgment that can be obtained would be against those two defendants.
I understand, Your Honor. So,
Give me just 1 second. First of all, regarding the Kansas Department of Public Health, I do find under KSA 60-303 that they were properly served with process and have not filed any sort of an answer or appeared or availed themselves of the court.
and Your Honor, I have sent them other letters asking them why they haven't responded, and they still haven't responded back. And I asked them to send me copies if they was going to respond, and they never did. And this case been going on for 3 years and almost 11 months.
Now, the amount that you're requesting as judgment against the Kansas Department of Public Health, I do have a little bit of an issue with based upon what I have before me at this time, which is essentially your amended complaint and the request you've made here today for the $4 million. Now, it's clear that the Kansas Department of Health is in default. Now, what I'm looking now at KSA 60-255, which is the Kansas statute for default judgment. In subsection C states a default judgment may be entered against the state, its officers, or its agencies only if the claimant establishes a claim or right to relief by evidence that satisfies the court. So that's a little more stringent than just taking a default judgment against a non-state agency. There has to be a showing by evidence of why you're entitled to that amount of relief.
Thank you. I understand, Your Honor. So I will let you make the determination of the judgment to reduce that balance.
What evidence how did you come up with that amount?
Well, from my complaint that I filed to you in my amended complaint of them violating protocols and not following their procedures, and me having a body injury, and me being in the medical facility and hospital suffering.
Okay, now that covers the causation of why the court should grant judgment, but the amount that you're requesting, what are you relying upon for that amount?
Well, 300,000 is not excessive. I mean, for my damages and my suffering?
Well, that's what I'm unclear of as to what your damages are. What are your damages?
Are you referring to like my puberty damages and actual damages?
Correct. Why are you entitled to the amount that you're requesting?
For my pain and suffering?
Okay. The issue I have is you've stated that, and I'm not doubting that you've had pain and suffering, but in order for the court to assess that type of a judgment, I'm going to need some evidence other than your statement.
Well, I put the evidence, Your Honor, in my amended motion. So I'm assuming that you've read my amended motion.
I've read the amended complaint, if that's what you're referring to, filed on July 28th, 2023.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any medical records or anything like that to verify these medical issues that you've experienced?
Well, the medical staff have the medical records. They won't allow us to have them because they say that it's a safety and security risk to the institution for us to have our medical records. And the second issue was I had in my complaint when the health department took responsibility, joint responsibility to the fact that, well, that they took 72 hours, they told us to leave our property in the sale for 72 hours. And when they sent us to Lansing, and I had to leave my property in the sale for almost 13 to 14 days, and with another offender, which the correction officers now refused to let us take or pack our property. So they said that we was going to go back to that sale, which we never went back to that sale. And I lost all my brick art stuff. I lost a $4,000 hearing aid, which I had that in there. I lost all my property. I lost all my legal matters, all the legal stuff that I had, my transcripts and everything. I couldn't fight my case. So I listed all that stuff in there for damages and costs. So that of my lost property, holding the health department because they took joint responsibility in the matter of them sending us to Lansing, and I lost all my property and stuff. And then I end up, getting the coronavirus and those issues. Jan, I'm not an expert and an attorney, so I leave it in your hands to make the judgment of liability because, I mean, my medical records will show, and I have all these asthma inhalers, and I'm on Dilafen medication, lung medication and stuff, and I have all kind of medical issues right now from the coronavirus, and my immune system is so weak. I'm taking medication for that. So, I mean, I barely move around. I'm falling off of balance. I've never been the same since I had the coronavirus. So, I mean, I've been having a difficult time, and it's been a bodily injury from them not protecting me from the coronavirus, because, I mean, if they was following protocols, their staff was, medical staff, and because the Horizon stated that the health department told them some of the things, what to do and what they couldn't do, and not to give us certain things to protect ourselves with because, the state didn't have it. So that makes them liable for them failure to protect us, from any type of bodily harm or bodily injury or any type of disease coming into the institution. Because they could have prevented this, but they didn't, but they transferred us back and forwards, and we got contaminated, and got even sicker. And me, myself, I have.
What I'm going to need to do here, Mr. Simmons, is have you prepare for the court an itemized list of the damages that you're seeking from the Department of Health, and not from any of the other named defendants, only the Department of Public Health, an itemized list as to what you're seeking and why you feel you're entitled to that. I feel it's necessary under the KSA 60-255 that I have a little bit more in front of me before I can make the determination of damages as it relates to the Kansas Department of Public Health. So I'm going, as it relates to them, I'm going to ask that you submit that to the court, the itemized list that I've just gone over, as well as any additional evidence you may have that supports your request for relief.
Yes, Your Honor. So do I have a certain amount of time to do this?
I'm going to, in just a minute, I'm going to set a new court date for us, and then I'm going to set a deadline for you to submit that to the court. But before we do that, I want to address your request regarding inmate Marquise Moya.
Your Honor, Marquise Moya was served because he was a prison. He was my cellie, and he was when the sheriff came in. I watched him serve him, and then the default judgment, I served him because he was here on his compound out on the yard. So I served him with a copy of the default judgment and with a notice of the default judgment. And he refused to. He stated to me that I was a inmate, a prisoner, that he didn't have to respond to a complaint, that I filed against him. So I told him he had to make a respond back to the courts. So he decided that he wasn't going to respond back, and his being arrogant, stating that he don't have a right to respond back to the courts or to me on a lawsuit against him. On what happened was, Your Honor, he was my cellie at the time, and when the health department took joint responsibility, they told the KDOC to have the inmates, to stay in the cell, and the property had to stay in there for 72 hours. So my property stayed in the cell with him for 72 hours while I was at Lansing, but I was there about maybe 13, 14 days, and then they brought us back. So when I went to receive my property, thought I was going back to that cell that they stated that I was supposed to go back to, which all my property was missing and gone. So, and I had them file Form 9s. They seen him on videotape, which you have copies of my Form 9s from staff stating during the investigation. They found some of my property in his possession, but when I went to ask them about that property, they stated that the property got lost during the investigation, and it never was returned to me, half of the property. So, and the other property that he had stole, he sold in the process, and they seen him on camera, him and James distributing, selling my property to other inmates in the institution. So, and this is why I filed a judgment against him.
And what amount of relief are you requesting against inmate Moya?
Based in general, Your Honor, the $20,000 for my in the process of my hearing aid, all my art matters, the stuff that I had. I'm an artist, Your Honor. So, and my legal matters, all my property that I had in the cell, my clothing, my new clothing and stuff, my sweats, my TV, the radio, all the property and stuff that was in the cell that he distributed and sold for his habit of drugs that he did. So, and I never got.
You're claiming that you had $20,000 worth of property in your cell?
Well, I'm adding on to my pain and suffering and my the damages, that I suffer. So, I mean, it might be seen a little excessive, but I mean, he didn't think about that time when he decided that he took all my property and they sold all my property. So, I mean, me myself, I know it's wrong, Your Honor, but to set an example for the rest of the inmates, because they figured that that they can't be sued. So, and I thought I'd just make an example out of him due to the fact that he stole all my property, and he's on videotape, Your Honor, and staff made a report, and half of the property is in the possession, and they never returned a majority of my property. So I mean, and I just filed a $20,000 default judgment against him on my losing all of my property, and
I
it's got stuck.
also request that you prepare an itemized list of what you're seeking from inmate Moya as part of this judgment.
Right.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then I'm going to set a court date about 45 days out. Does that give you enough time to prepare this paperwork and get it submitted to the court?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Angela, if you could set a date about at least 45 days out, please. Give us about an hour of time.
Judge, I have February 12th at 3 o'clock.
February 12th at 3 o'clock. Is that a time that would work with the correctional facility? Are you still going to be you're at Hutcherson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Will you still be there on February the 12th?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge, we should probably do it on there. February 14th at 10 o'clock.
February 14th at 10 o'clock rather than February 12th?
Yeah, just a day.
All right. Any reason to believe that February the 14th at 10 o'clock won't work for you or for the correctional facility, Mr. Simmons?
It'll work for me, Your Honor. Your Honor, let me specify if I can be correct in what you're saying. So what you're requesting is that I put down my damages for what compensatory damages, actual damages, and the damages that I'm actually asking for in my default.
Correct.
That's what you
I
are.
need you to break down, if you're requesting $4 million, I need you to break that down as to what the amount entails. If part of it's for pain and suffering, you need to set that down. And then anything else, just break it down, the amounts that you're requesting.
To add up to the 4 million.
Correct.
Oh, I understand.
And do that for both inmate Moya and the Department of Public Health. And then submit any additional evidence that you have, not necessarily statements, but if you have any medical records, paperwork, anything that gives a basis for your request for relief, you can submit that if you have it.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then I'm going to request that you have that sent to me or the care of the court by February the 5th. Then that will give me sufficient time to review that before the hearing on the 14th.
Your Honor, is it possible that you sent me a court order with this issue, with these dates and stuff on there? This way I won't forget, because I do have a short time memory and I write stuff down. I have to keep going back over it and reading it to let it sink in. So if I can know when that time comes that I have something to bring to their attention too, you know, that this date is coming up on a court order.
Well, Angela, do we provide any sort of we provide a hearing notice to the correctional facility, correct?
Yes, I'll file an order for hearing and send it to them with the Zoom link.
And then can we put this February 5th deadline for submission of the paperwork on there as well?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so Mr. Simmons, it sounds like an order for hearing will be filed and it'll include those dates.
I appreciate it, Your Honor.
Do you have any additional questions, Mr. Simmons?
No, Your Honor, I just want to get this caseload over with where I can focus more on my criminal case, and because this is been a burden trying to keep this case going on.
I understand, you and me both, Mr. Simmons, but hopefully we can get it concluded when we come back on the 14th of February.
Yes, Your Honor, I appreciate it, and I thank you a lot.
All right, thank you. Ms. Stewart, thank you very much
Thank you.
for your services here today. And if there's nothing further, we'll be in recess.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you there for having him at the correctional facility for us.
You're welcome.
Be safe, be well, sleep sweet, and much love.